Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and my guests today are from the Outreach Center in Mayville. Their names are Diana Ward in the white sweater, Fairlee Fischer in the plaid top, and Ann Smith in the purple. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's about time I had you all on, about the Outreach Center, so that, we can find out, you can let everybody know about the good work you do over there. Now, the house that you're in belongs to the Presbyterian Church?
No, the Episcopal.
The Episcopal Church. Okay, the Episcopal Church. Maybe we don't have a Presbyterian church in Mayville. I don't
think we do.
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Now, did it start out with the pantry or just the gardening?
No,
It started with the Mayville Food Pantry. Okay, so how did the Mayville Food Pantry come about?
Well, back in 1986, a woman by the name of Wilma Coutant, she had a brainchild of an idea that to open a cupboard up for families in the district and in town that had emergency situations and no food. And so she thought, why not open a cupboard, a food cupboard, in the basement of St. Paul's Church, and with the help of Father Bob Edmond, who was the rector at that time, they got it off, and it's been in operation for 30 plus years. So we can thank Wilma for this idea, which has lasted a long time and is a much needed resource in our community.
Yeah, it's been around a lot longer than I realized, apparently. So how did you wind up with the house that it's in now? That used to be Dr. Saxtons. Maybe I'll jump over to you real quick. You are Dr. Saxton's daughter.
That's right.
And your father had his office in that house. Did you live in the house also?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Uh-huh.
The office was in the part where the thrift shop is now, and the operating rooms and the other examining rooms are in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then we lived on the other half of the house and upstairs.
Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Burke had it for
Mm-hmm.
a while until he got his office down on Chautauqua Street.
Mm-hmm.
Should we show the pictures of your father now?
All right, that's
Okay.
fine.
There's a couple of photographs of Ann's father here that we're going to look at. Well, maybe we'll
Give them a minute.
a minute. Okay, well, I'll go on to the next question. Who coordinates the pantry?
Well, over the years, there were many, many people who were coordinating and had all kinds of positions. But in my tenure as being on the board of directors, probably in the last 12 years, Sally Overs was a coordinator, and I think Sally ran it for about 15 years. And then, because of illness, she had to step down, and then Bonnie Smith took over as the coordinator. And there were, the operations are handled by the coordinator, but there's a lot of volunteers who assist with some of the responsibilities of keeping the pantry running. So after Bonnie, she just stepped down last year, it was decided that, and we had been talking about this for quite a while, that the position of a coordinator was becoming almost like a full-time job. And we're all getting a little older.
Mm-hmm.
So it was decided, with the advice with the vestry at St. Paul's, that we would hire a part-time position, excuse me, as coordinator. And that's when Debbie Marcella came on board as the coordinator last winter.
Oh, okay.
So our coordinator is got a lot of responsibilities. She does the ordering from the food bank every month. She does the stats, she does the grants, she makes sure the volunteers are scheduled, that there's two volunteers to work every day we're open, and just a number of tasks that just go along with maintenance of our space in the outreach center.
Okay. Okay, there is Ann's pictures of her dad. One of them, he appears to be dressed in a clown costume, but there's leaves on the trees in the picture, so I'm assuming it was not a Halloween costume.
No.
Was there some sort of special occasion that he was dressed like that for?
Well, this leads to a whole new area. He was a part owner of an elephant.
Oh.
And I'm sure you've heard of Lena the elephant.
Oh, yes, yes.
And he would dress up and ride Lena in various places. And he went to Dunkirk with her one time, and he was wearing his clown suit, and the elephant reached up and pulled down the traffic light. So they decided that Lena was persona non grata in Dunkirk, and they didn't allow her to come there anymore. That's why he dressed up as a clown.
Oh, I see. Well, the other one was just a picture of him with what was apparently his dog
Yes.
at one time. It looked like a dachshund.
Yes, that's Pretzel.
Pretzel?
Yeah.
He looks really young in that picture. What year was that picture taken?
Oh, I would say 1950.
1950.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of gardening, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Okay, so who does the food pantry serve?
Well, can I just backtrack a little bit? I
Oh,
just wanted
okay,
to
okay.
also mention that we have probably 55 to 60 volunteers that help make the food pantry run very smoothly.
That's a lot of help.
It's a lot of help, but there's a lot of different things that the volunteers do. Besides working at the pantry the days they're open, which are Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 10:30 to 12:30, we have volunteers who are stocking the shelves weekly for every day we're open. We have volunteers that are picking up non-perishable items and baked goods from the Tops location in Mayville. They donate, and excuse me. And we also have a lot of volunteers that help with the maintenance of the space that we rent. I want to mention them because they're behind the scenes, and they do a lot of repair work and maintenance work, and that's Sandy Wagner, Jeff Wagner, Jim Wilcoxon, and recently Larry Marcella, also Debbie's husband, has been very helpful with just painting, fixing things. It's just, and they've been doing that for a long time. So they're the unsung heroes behind the scenes, of keeping the pantry going.
Right.
It's a very well-run organization, and everybody, all the volunteers, couldn't do it without the volunteers.
No, you couldn't. So who does the food pantry serve?
So we serve any client who lives in the Chautauqua Lake School District. They sign up for any kind of assistance that they think they qualify for, and they can come in any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and they need to show proof of where they live, because they have to live in the school district of Chautauqua Lake. So proof of residence, proof of income because we follow the eligibility guidelines. For example, if it's a family of 2 and they make less than $586 a week, they qualify.
Oh, I see.
So we follow the guidelines, and then they have to bring proof in of anybody that lives in their household, so that we know there are 5 people living in the household or 4. Because based on that amount is what they can take in quantity from the food pantry. And it's like we don't just give out a bag of food. It's a shopping experience that they come in and they can choose on the
They
shelves
can pick what they need,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, approximately how many people do you serve?
Well, we in 2017, our total household numbers was almost 1,200, and our individuals were 2,663. Thanks, Debbie, for the stats. And the meals we served were approximately almost 24,000 meals in 2017.
You serve meals also?
Well, when they come in to do a visit, okay, they come in twice a month. That quantity of food given to them provides them with 9 meals.
9 meals?
So if they come in twice a month, that's 18 meals a month for one client. So that's how we come to our numbers.
Okay, okay. And the food comes from, well, you said some of it comes from Tops.
Well, that's the baked goods and some non-perishable items. But our resources are mainly from the Western New York Food Bank. An order is placed at the end of every month from a list that we get from the food bank and what they have coming in. So Debbie will look at the list and order off the list, and then that delivery comes in the second Thursday of every month. We get food from the bank, the USDA, and also New York State HEPNAP program, which is the Hunger Prevention Nutrition Assistance Program.
Okay.
Our budget is approximately about $25,000 a year, our costs, and we're able to maintain that budget through the generosity of our community and our primary resources, which is New York State and the grants that we get. And we also get a lot of donations from our local communities and businesses and individuals, from the churches, the fire departments, auxiliaries, and some of the events. I'm moving on now a little bit to some of the events that are happening in our community that benefit the pantry are the VFW golf tournament, the annual golf tournament they do in the fall, the Polar Plunge at the Ice Castle Festival every year. That benefits the food pantry. The Chautauqua Auxiliary does a food drive, and we have various boxes at some of the businesses. The Mayville Library, Sheer Style Beauty Salon, they have a box for their clients to bring in non-perishable item, and then we have people that pick those up. I don't want to leave anybody out. The letter carrier postal drive in May.
I was thinking about that, how we all put containers of food out on our hanging on our mailboxes on a certain Saturday in the spring for the mailman to pick up. And can just individual people donate things, come in and bring things in too?
Absolutely.
If somebody plants a vegetable garden and they're just overrun with the stuff,
and they do that.
Like especially summer squash and things like that.
Yes,
cucumbers, it's okay if they bring them in.
Absolutely. And like I said, we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10:30 to 12:30. And
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
Yes. And we've been given blueberries from a lady who has she's bringing some blueberries, lots of fruit, tomatoes, and so yes, if you have anything in abundance and you want to share it with the pantry, we'd love to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, that's good.
I just want to mention too, I don't want to leave anybody out, the Boy Scout Troop 126 has been very generous with their drive, Chautauqua Lake School, and I want to mention the school also, there are 2 teachers up at the school, Chris Ramaker and Jim Tennis, and they have special ed students that they bring down to unload the truck delivery every month.
Oh.
So our students from our school district are volunteers also.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
come down and they unload the truck. So, and they take great pride in that.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And they're very valuable because it's hard work, unloading a truck.
Okay, now who should people contact if they want to volunteer?
Well, you can call the office, the St. Paul's Outreach Office, and the number is 753-2172. I believe I have that written down.
Actually, I found I have better luck getting a hold of somebody if I call Debbie Marsala's phone number.
But she doesn't, that phone number is not really out there for public use.
No.
But if they call the office, 2172, 753-2172.
And leave a message?
And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the office is open, and you can leave a message. Someone will get back to you if you're interested in volunteering.
Okay.
Or stop down. Because
Okay.
Debbie is at the office on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 9 till 1. So she's available.
Now, Fairlee, you're the only one we haven't heard something from yet. You're in charge of the thrift store, is it?
It's the Thrift Shop, and I don't know if you'd say I'm in charge of it. There's 6 to 7 volunteers, but I was one of the 2 people that started it.
Oh, I see.
It was the John Melcher's wife, Elizabeth, and I used to walk the Overland Trail, and we came up with this idea once we bought the building as a way to use the space. And that was it was opened in December 1995. And there were about 6 or 7 of us that came up with this idea, well, we can use the space. And we started out in the basement where the food pantry is. And in October 2011, we moved to the first floor with help from numerous people, Jim Wilcoxon, Gary, Sandy and Bonnie Smith, and Sandy Wagner helped paint it, move racks, move clothes. So we have more space. We have a separate room now for kids' clothes, for men's clothes, for women's clothes. We operate with a very limited group of people. It's always been 6 to 7 very dedicated, wonderful volunteers. And we're open. We used to be open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays and Saturdays, but we don't have enough volunteers to do that. So we're open Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 12:30.
Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Right.
Okay, it's a little bit different.
It is because
From
we,
the
yeah,
food
it's
pantry.
different because we do the Saturday. We have always done Saturdays.
Okay, okay.
For people.
There used to be Wednesdays too, but for some reason,
Yeah.
you haven't been able to get volunteers for Wednesday.
Correct. And we felt that if we were open Mondays and Fridays and Saturdays, at least 3 days, that we were still open for people to come in. And we are open to anyone. That's been a misconception that people think that only certain people can use the thrift shop, but it's not. It's open to anyone to come in and shop there. And we take clean, workable, gently used items for donations. Because one of the problems is if we get stuff that's broken and people just want to get rid of, we have to pay to get rid of it. And all of our money that comes in is redistributed to the community. And we average about $3,200 a year, which isn't a lot, but over the number of years we've been doing it, it's about $80,000 that's gone back to the community.
Now, does it help to support the food pantry at all, or does it go towards other things?
It goes to other things. What we do is we have, in December, we distribute. And we distribute to the 6 local churches for their discretionary fund. Because we did not want to get into people coming to us and saying, I need money for medicine or gas or anything. We wanted it to go through the churches that way. That's how we did it that way.
Okay. You might have had problems if you had let the people just come to you to ask for money, like maybe.
We didn't feel that we wanted to get into that. We had set up we figured 6 local churches, giving them to their churches to distribute where they felt there was a need.
Okay, yeah.
And then we also give to the Chautauqua Lake Central School a scholarship every year for someone who volunteers in the community. We also give to the Chautauqua Lake Central School for their after-prom alcohol-free party or graduation party.
Yeah, yeah.
And then over the years, we've given to the Love Fund, Hospice, the Mayville Library, Westfield Memorial Hospital, the Mayville Rescue Unit, different things that we distribute the amount of money. And that's why we don't keep a lot in the pot. We don't have overhead expenses.
Right.
And we give back to St. Paul's a small amount for housing us, for heat and electric.
Yeah.
But we have, at different times, we were pricing individually. It's hard with so few volunteers to do a lot of that. We get a lot of donations trying to get them hung up, put away. We have household items too that we sell. Right now, we've been running a $5 a bag for a bag of clothes. And in October, we're going to run a special, $1 a bag for kids' clothes. And
well, I remember going in there one time, and I managed, and it was just before Christmas. It was back when I used to be able to come in because it worked out around my schedule. And I remember just before Christmas a few years back, maybe about 4 years or so ago, I remember coming in and buying a whole set of hot beverage mugs in a beautiful shade of blue. And that I think it's stamped on the bottom that they were made in the USA even. And then there were some pastel blue, several stacks of several placemats, cloth, cotton placemats, and matching napkins, and I got all of that, just in one visit. I mean, you wouldn't always, when you go in a thrift store, you don't always find that much in a visit, but I felt really lucky, and I used those things, and I like them a lot. I like the shade of blue that they're in, the shades of blue that they're in and everything, and it's kind of fun to go in there and because when you buy something, it contributes to a worthy cause and everything. So I'm really all for thrift shops. I visit the Salvation Army Thrift Store to shop when I get a chance, and I visit the Thrifty Kitty over in Westfield, and every once in a while I can find something in there that I can use or that would actually make a good gift for somebody that I know. And so I'm really all for these thrift stores and their worthy causes that they help support. Now, Anne, you do something about gardening over there.
Yes, that's right. To start out, when my parents moved to Mayville in 1930, they found this house, 99 South Erie Street. It had 3 floors, but the 3rd floor burned, and they decided to just take it off, put a roof on the 2nd floor. So my dad had to borrow the $100 for the down payment for the house.
Oh.
Yep, and they moved in, and he set up his office there. And the next year, he started a garden. he'd always loved planting things. So he began with a small garden, and each year it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it ended up the whole backyard was garden.
Oh, wow. Sounds like my husband.
He tried all kinds of different things, and he planted corn and squash and peas, and of course everything needed to be weeded, so the kids, my brother and sister and I, were responsible
To keep the
for
garden
pulling
weeded.
weeds. Yeah. And he enlisted in the Navy, went overseas for a couple of years, and we kept the garden going because do you remember when they had victory gardens and people planted things for their, they called it the victory garden.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard something about that, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So we managed to keep it going, and he kept on going until the very end, 1980, when he died. He
was
had a
still
garden.
working.
Yes, yeah. He would go to the hospital in Westfield, do his rounds, come back and work around the lunch hour in his garden, and then he'd go into the office and
See
do his
patients in
office.
the
Yeah.
office, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Sounds
then,
like he was really busy.
yes, yes, he was, and he loved doing that. I don't remember when they started the garden up again. Do you remember?
Well, the master gardeners started doing some of the gardening out back of the outreach center.
Right, they'd taken some special courses that certified them as like experts at gardening, I think it was.
And
yeah.
they decided that they thought that they asked us if it would be possible to put a garden back there, and which would benefit the clients. And fresh produce is a wonderful thing because you know it's an extra expense if you're buying it at the store. So we said absolutely, that'd be wonderful. So then it got a little too much, I think, for the master gardeners. So I think that's when Anne, a few years ago, said,
Yeah. Yeah, we took it over. My daughter's a gardener, so
I've
she and
heard
I-
that about her.
Yeah.
Somebody somebody at the Chautauqua Institution said she'd had Amy take care of her flowers for
Yeah.
her, and she goes, she's a really good. She said that she's really good at
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, she'll be happy to know that. Yes, she worked at the Chautauqua Golf Course for a couple of years, and then she went on to do private landscaping, what have you. But she and I got started again, and we planted peas and beans and what have you, and we realized that we were having competition from the raccoons and the rabbits and all the other critters. So the following year, the church said that they would pay to have fencing put up. And so Jim Cannon put up a nice fence to keep the deer and all the other critters out. And we've had it for 2 years now. We put in a couple of raised beds and planted tomatoes, peppers, beans, peas, squash, basil. I'm trying to remember all the things that we have. And whenever there were flowers left over from the church, for Easter, for instance, when there were some lilies that didn't get taken home, we would plant them in the garden, and then we could use those for the altar flowers from there on. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, a lot of the vegetables go to the food pantry then? To
Yes,
be
everything that we
distributed?
pick goes into the food pantry.
Did the fencing manage to keep the animals
Yes.
out okay?
Yes, it
Because, well, maybe it's just because we live out in the boonies. We still, even with fencing, we have some problems. We also have a small amount of our own honeybees, too.
Oh.
And it seems like over the years, we've literally had to have an electric fence in order to have anything for ourselves to eat. My husband decided not to plant corn in the garden this year because he said, I don't want to fight with the raccoons all summer. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with an electric fence, they manage to sometimes find ways to get in anyway. Oh,
Now, Jim did a good job, and we have a gate in the front and the back so that we can get in and out easily.
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a pretty high fence then, I take it.
It's about 6 feet high. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And it's good land. It had been worked for such a long time, and he tried all kinds of fertilizer. He tried horse manure and cow manure and elephant manure and chicken manure. And one time he planted, he put chicken manure on the garden in the fall, and then in the spring he churned it all up. And in the middle of August, there were 17-foot-long squash plants growing from the garden. Apparently, the chickens had been fed squash all winter long, and they'd passed the seeds undigested. And so when he worked in the garden, you talk about summer squash.
Yeah, actually, yeah. The last dog that we had, which was the black dog that you see at the beginning of my program, you know, there on the screen, we've always fed like pumpkin and winter squash seeds to our dogs. And like pumpkin seeds are supposed to be good for, you know, getting rid of worms if they have them and like that. But anyway, I remember one year there was some sort of a squash or pumpkin plant coming up somewhere in the yard, way away from the garden, where the dog usually went to the toilet. So we figured the dog had planted his own plant. This summer, this is really strange. This summer. Last summer and this summer both, my husband planted just one single tomato plant. However, for some reason we have several tomato plants that somehow got reseeded, the seeds from a previous year or something, just came up in various places in the garden after my husband had taken compost from the compost pile and spread it around, and so we have a lot more tomatoes than we thought we were going to. My husband calls those kinds of plants volunteers. Is that what you call them?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's like they just come up on their own. You never know what you're going to find in your garden. Always there are going to be things that you didn't plant that year. And we've totally gotten away from planting zucchini squash because you can't keep up with it. We do plant the yellow summer squash. But I think my husband overdid it on planting those this year because we've had an awful lot of yellow summer squash. There's a cartoon strip in the Buffalo paper on Sundays. It's called Pickles, where this gray-haired couple, retired couple, and every once in a while in the summer they'll have a strip where they do something funny with a summer squash, where one time they were burying it under a pile of old clothes that they donated to a thrift store, and another time they got up at 4 in the morning to take some out and put on their neighbors' front porches and things like that. It always makes me laugh to see those things in the funny papers. So do you guys have like any really interesting experiences that you've had, incidents or anything as a result of your working at the Outreach Center?
Well, I can just say that I, as a volunteer and sitting on the board of directors, which I wanted to say too, that the board of directors, I don't want to leave them out because they're all representatives from different churches and organizations that we meet quarterly. And so they're also valuable too in making decisions about the pantry. But I find my experience as a volunteer, especially when I'm out working on the days the clients come in, that we have the nicest group of clients that come in, and a lot of our clients are volunteers too.
Oh, some of the people that you help are actually
Yes.
volunteer to
Yes.
help.
So they're giving back. And I think it's also a social experience for our clients just to come in, and if there's a few people waiting to go in line to go out through the pantry, you can socialize and visit and in the waiting room, and you get to know them by first name. And if you see them out in the community, especially at Tops, you know, you're like, hi, so-and-so, and then you chit-chat. So I think it's a good experience for me, and I think it's a good experience for them too. And that's what we want. We want them to feel like comfortable, because it's hard to come in and ask for some help, you know, but there are times when all of us need that help, so we're very appreciative of just having the opportunity to be a part of this wonderful program, because it is a program of many, many helpers. So that's my experience.
Now, I think that we had Chris scan some other pictures, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see if we, oh, there they are. Now that, who would that be?
That's Ann Aiken and Pat Spielman, and they're two of the volunteers that when they come in, we have they sign in, and then they register in the book, so we can make sure that that's 2 times a month. And then one always stays in the waiting room, and then one will take the client through and through the shopping.
And that was the original thrift shop.
That used to be
The thrift
Where
shop.
the thrift shop
That was,
but it's
one
a food
room.
pantry now.
Yes, that one room.
And, okay, so the ones that work in the food pantry have to wear certain shirts then?
That's new this year.
New?
RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program, provided those shirts for us. And so when we're scheduled to work, we wear our RSVP shirts. So, yeah, that was a gift from them.
Oh, that was nice.
Because we're under the auspice of our Retired Senior Volunteer Program, too.
Okay. And this is the food pantry itself.
That's
with
coming
the
in.
Shelves
Yes.
stocked with food.
Yes.
That looks like a non-perishable section.
Right. We have usually tuna or chicken, peanut butter, condiments are donations. We have condiments, about 3 shelves of condiments. Pastas on the other side, rice, soups. And it's you come in down the hall, and then there's shelves, as you see at the back. And that's the cereal and snack. We don't get snacks from the food bank, so we get donations, and sometimes we will go out, and that's the canned goods and the juice, and our top shelves in the picture are the miscellaneous items, which that's the one area that the clients really look things over, because there are all kinds of unique things.
It's
on
different
that.
every time,
Yes.
probably, when
Yes.
they come in.
And so the snacks are purchased, or some things that the food bank doesn't provide. We'll go out and go to Aldi's, or Tops, or Walmart, wherever's the best buy, and buy some staples to keep those shelves filled between the deliveries.
Okay. Now, Fairlee, it almost seems to me that I can remember having been in the thrift store at some point in time and having somebody tell me that they were gathering together stuff that had been there for a while and not been sold, that was getting ready to be given to, is it the Vietnam War veterans or something?
Out of Buffalo, we
Out of
call, and they'll
Buffalo.
come down and pick up stuff that, because we have a limited space and limited volunteers, we have to go through stuff if it's sit there for a year or more and hasn't moved. Then we'll go through stuff and close, and they'll come with their truck and they'll pick it up and they put it in their stores. So it's still being used and going. Some stuff we donate, that if we're going through, to the Salvation Army too, because we have such a limited amount of space that we can use. I mean, and Gary Saunders just put new racks up for us, and because the clothes and the walls have pulled right off of the wall at points because they're so heavy. So he's had to
So
put,
you have to make sure you don't have too much stock then.
yeah, and with a limited amount of space, that's part of the problem. That's why I said we used to do individual items, and now we've been running like $5 a bag. And one of the when you were asking about stories, we have regular customers that come all the time and check it out. Depending on which day you work, it's sometimes the same people will come on that same day when I work. People have come in looking, they've started a new job. They need something that's business casual. And I've had someone come in looking for something to wear to a graduation or a concert, dress pants for kids and stuff like that. One time in the summer, I had 3 kids that were here visiting their grandparents, and they would come up together, the 3 kids, and they had a grand time going through, filling up a bag, and finally I said, why don't you pool your money? And that's what they ended up doing, pooling their money and getting all sorts of just different things. It was just fun for them.
Yeah.
We have the Amish come in and they buy things in there too. So.
Oh yeah, I think that last time that I was in there were a couple of Amish ladies that did come in.
Yeah.
So I don't think they found anything that day, but that's how it is with thrift stores. Some days you find
That's
something
exactly
you can
right.
use, and sometimes you don't. So,
Well, and some days I've had stuff in there and you move it around to a different spot, and I can have someone who's been in there every week, but then for whatever reason, they see something that's been there and oh gee, I can use that now, or it catches their
attention, and
Yeah.
even if they've been in before
Yes.
while it was there. Yeah. Well, sometimes I think that people go into a thrift store and they see something they like, but they decide, oh, well, I don't really need it. And then afterwards they get to thinking about it. I wish I'd bought that thing, and then they come back in. What about you with the gardening? Have you had any really interesting stories or experiences with that?
I've been trying to come up with something that was unusual, but I think that the thing that we were worried about was the critters and getting rid of them. That was so discouraging to go up there and find all the plants had been chopped right off. So we had some kids that lived next door who would come over and help weed sometimes. But that's my biggest problem, is finding people that will help in the garden. I mean, the weeds will come regardless.
Oh, so could you use more volunteers than
absolutely.
you already have?
Yes,
Then you
we-
need more people to come and pull weeds.
It's usually
Oh,
just
okay.
my daughter and me that do
Well,
the work.
Yeah, well, maybe when they find out about it, when they watch my TV show, maybe some people will
That would be great.
decide that they would like to. And in fact, I shouldn't mention her name on television or anything, but in fact, I think I know of somebody that really enjoys pulling weeds. I don't know, and she goes around pulling weeds like in her friends' flower beds and things
Send her
like
over.
that. Maybe if I can get a hold of her.
Sounds like a winner to
I
me.
don't know what her married last name is
Oh,
to
okay.
look for her in the phone book or anything, but I think I know people who do know who I'm talking about that would So maybe she'd be willing to
That would
do
be
it.
great.
And you mean you don't have any? Do people donate things to plant?
Yes, we do have people that bring extra plants to us. Banana peppers this year, which I had never tried before. I didn't know what banana pepper was.
They're a little bit spicy, but not too outrageously spicy. Yeah.
We picked, let's see, I've got a note here. We picked over 25 pounds of banana peppers, so they were happy in the garden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a good place for them.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of years hot peppers have usually done pretty well in our garden, but
Really?
a lot of years the bell peppers haven't. But this year is one of the years that is working out okay,
Yeah.
where we're getting plenty of enough bell peppers for ourselves. Do they donate spaces to plant on? Now, somebody handed me this question, and I'm assuming he means maybe pots or things.
I haven't seen anything. You mean extra space for garden?
Yeah, it says, do people donate things to plant or spaces to plant on?
Oh,
So you mentioned the raised beds,
Yeah.
but you probably don't do anything in pots.
No, we don't.
probably.
no.
So,
It's difficult to get them watered that way. If you have different pots of plants around, it's hard to get them all watered at one time. So my daughter set up an irrigation system so that it's on a timer and it goes off once a day and it gets the watering done. Yeah. It's so much fun to listen to the things that are going on in the house that I lived in. And I'm thinking of the things that have changed and how different they are. The only thing that I can remember that's not changed are the fireplaces.
Oh, the fireplaces are
and
still
the
there?
staircase.
And the staircase
Yeah.
is the same.
Most everything else is different in that house. So it's good that it's
Yeah.
being used.
Yeah.
I'm glad that someone is.
Well, I think when Dr. Burke was there, he probably, fixed things
Yeah.
the way he needed it to be and like that. You were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say about as far as an experience, this doesn't have anything to do with the garden, but when Anne was first starting to do the garden, and it was the same time that the outreach center was being recited, and so there were a crew of guys coming in every day, and when I'd come in to stock the shelves, if I was there that particular day, I'd see a pie sitting on the desk.
A pie.
A pie sitting, and it was for the guys.
Oh.
And so Anne made these pies
Oh.
for the crew.
Oh, wow.
And they were just so excited about that, and they just they'd come in
Yeah, it
and they'd
was
say
fun.
to me, I still see a pie. And I said, maybe not today, but so
So,
she's
yeah.
a good
that's-
pie maker.
Thank you.
What kind of pies do you make?
Oh, just about every kind you can imagine.
You make a lot of fruit pies, probably?
Yeah, fruit pies, apple pies, cherry, you name it. Yeah.
It's probably a lot of work to make a cherry pie, isn't it? Because you have to pit all the cherries.
Yeah.
I remember one time when it was in the spring of 7th grade, I believe. And you know how it is, junior high kids stay overnight at each other's houses and everything. And I remember staying overnight at a friend's house. And they had a whole bunch of kids. It was a big family, but so I suppose the mother was probably really busy with all those kids. But I remember she had this cherry pie that she had made, except that she hadn't pitted the cherries. So I remember it was quite a job eating my way through a slice of her cherry pie. Of course, a lot of things you don't have to do that with, pit the cherries. But, well, when I finally finished it, she asked me if I wanted another slice, and I just said no, thank you. I mean, it tasted okay. It's just that it seemed like a lot of work eating that piece of pie, you know.
Yeah.
So the you said that the building had to be re-sided.
Re-sided,
the
new
siding
window- yes.
had to be.
It was
It-
re-sided.
It was
A lot of new windows were put in.
So there was a lot of having things that had worn out on the house.
Right.
I think it was at a point where we were trying to decide as the church whether we were going to repaint it or reside it, and figure in the long haul the siding would be a less cost.
Less cost overall
Yeah.
than having to have it
Repainted
repainted every
every
so
couple-
many
yeah.
years. So how often would it had to have been repainted, did you think?
I don't know.
No. But it made a big difference in the cost of heating it too, because
It's
they
more
put insulation.
insulating?
Yeah.
And we put a new ramp, handicapped ramp
Oh,
up,
yeah.
cement ramp up.
Yeah.
Before it was wooden, had been in there was a wooden ramp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
We put a,
yeah, I'm seeing
cement
more
ramp.
and more handicap ramps that are actually cement.
yeah.
So, yeah, the wooden ones do wear out after a while, don't they?
And they get slippery
Yeah,
with the weather around here.
yeah, oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
There's been a lot of improvements over the years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that people's donations help with is keeping the upkeep on the building then.
That comes out of St. Paul's.
Yeah.
St. Paul's Episcopal Church takes care of the outreach center.
Oh, do they?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Oh,
their
wow.
property.
Oh, yeah,
That's the
church.
church's property is the church, the outreach center,
Uh-huh.
and that's in their budget.
Uh-huh.
But what it's used for is the garden, the food pantry, the thrift shop.
Right.
And that's why and the church office is there. They bought that building to use it for outreach in the community.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's named after Cheryl Steinbeck. And you probably could,
She was the warden at the time. She was killed in a car accident.
Oh, yes, yes, I remember that. That was a very sudden and horrible
Yeah.
incident, yeah.
we have a nice new sign out there. A couple years ago, we got a really nice new sign. And it's just been a real ecumenical
Mhm.
outreach from the community in the inner workings of all three. So, and I wanted to mention too, and I didn't mention that one of the things that we do also at the holiday time
Oh, yeah.
is do holiday bags at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, so that the clients will have all the makings
Of the Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
besides what they come and get through for their monthly visits.
Do they get that for Easter too?
Yes.
So it's pretty much all of the major holidays.
Yes, the three
then.
major holidays.
Yeah. Well, that helps helps them to have a good holiday then, makes them happy
And even Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh,
We
Super
usually
Bowl
have
Sunday?
something extra for
For
them.
Super Bowl
For
Sunday?
Super Bowl Sunday, some extra snacks, maybe some liters of pop or.
Are all of the clients football fans?
Oh, I don't know about that, but they can reap the benefits
You
of it.
offer it anyways,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, even if you're not, I guess you could have a party on that day.
Sure.
Or maybe some other special event in your family around that time, like if somebody's having a birthday or something.
Can I ask a question of you,
Sure.
Diana?
Yeah.
What happens to the baked goods that don't get taken?
We have usually 3 or 4 different people that will come on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after we, just about the time we close. And they will take all of that food, the baked goods that haven't been taken by the clients, home to their pigs.
Oh, okay.
So we have some pig farmers that come and pick up things that are no longer, be able to give to the clients. So, so it's
It doesn't get wasted.
it doesn't get wasted. It's all being used through one source or another.
There was one question I wanted to ask you, Ann, and that is, do you keep a compost pile for the garden?
We do, yes, we do compost. And that's one of my daughter's major stumping posts. She likes composting because she thinks it's the best way to recycle and get the best out of the garden. There's a lot of things you can do with the compost. That you can add manure, you can add other things to supplement it, but she's usually a naturalist. She just sticks to the major things, and but so far it's been pretty good. She keeps her coffee grounds and eggshells and things like that, and we use those for compost too. But just
anything that, I guess, we have one of those compost bins at home, and I remember noticing, and it surprised me, you could just jam pack it full of things like your corn husks and things like that till it was full to the brim, and a few days later you'll find that there's more room again in there, and you don't know why. And it was one time when we had somebody, one of the master gardeners, a man from Fredonia, I guess, and he was talking about. He said it's the worms. It's like the earthworms and like that in the compost bin are what do that. Why the level goes down is because the worms chew it up.
Yeah.
So, so the worms are actually a friend to the gardener.
You're right.
So, is there anything else any of you want to say real quick? We're down to half a minute.
I just want to thank you, Gail. I think all of us want to thank you for the opportunity to let us share our information about these worthwhile organizations and what's happening in our Mayville community.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and, for talking about what you do, and maybe people who aren't really aware of you will start volunteering and donating, and, maybe they'll start volunteering for hours that the thrift store's not open now, so that people like me who can't get in too much on the hours that they open now can do that. So
Yeah, we're glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome, and thank you.